From 23dB Production Studios in the Garden State, New Jersey, this is The Art of Music Tech with your hosts, Fela and Denis.
Let's go, and welcome to the Art of Music Tech podcast. I'm your host, Fela, and over there,
Dennis. Hi, everybody.
Dennis.
Frank, welcome back.
And we're here with the one and only Frank David Greene.
How are you all doing? Part two.
Yes, we're here with part 2 of this particular podcast. Please listen to 1 because he just laid down his background, and the bands he's with are just legendary, and the people he's worked with, and the Letterman show, just some fantastic
Toured
stuff.
the world.
Toured the
in
world.
His 20s.
Lead trumpet player on just a bunch of fantastic stuff. So check him out musically, but also check out his latest book. Which is really good because I just finished it. I knew that 116 thoughts that you already know that will change your life. Yes, the guide to success. Frank, what made you do this book?
You know, it's ironic you would ask that because it's just maybe it's a labor of love of sorts, maybe, but I know that what's happened even in my family where, you know, I've seen students that will come to me, you know, after I've been in town a few years, students will come to me when they're just out of school and after 2 or 3, 4 years out of school, and they'll say, I'm not working. I went to school for jazz, or I went to school for a classical player, I went to school to do X, Y, or Z, and I'm just not working. And they kind of, you know, people find out what you've been doing or what you're doing, and they see what you're doing, and they feel like, hey, you might be a lightning rod. You might know, because, you know, you moved here and you start working right away. Why is this not happening for me?
Mm-hmm.
And so more and more people started coming to me, and more people that I could actually talk to about it. And so I decided just to write something down that might be able to help people even before they get themselves in that situation, and for sure once they are in that situation. So that's kind of why I decided to write this book.
Oh, yeah. Even if you're in the situation, this helps you get
It
out
should help you get out of the situation, yeah. Yep.
Definitely. It's all the great tips to leading a successful career and life.
Hopefully.
Yes, definitely. The tips in here are just fantastic.
All right, let's hear a couple quotes.
I got the $30,000 coffee degree.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah,
Like
right,
that
exactly. Yeah. Or more, right?
Or more.
$100,000 coffee degree.
Oh yeah. Which basically is, you know, you go to this expensive school and then you're still working at Starbucks. It happens actually more often than not.
Well, because you have to ask yourself when you're walking around town, especially if you live in a place like New York where it's very walkable, and you look at different jobs and you ask yourself, is that person's dream job to like clean the tray table or to like make us a latte? Is this their dream job? And if it is, that's fantastic. But you probably guess it's not someone's dream job.
Never.
To like sell you popcorn at the movie theater. Say, when I get older, man, I'm going to sell popcorn at the theater. You know, it's probably not there. So somewhere along the way, they've had to defer, or they've gotten sidetracked from their main goal. And I'm around people like Tom Bones Malone, who are quite opposite of that, quite the opposite. And so I thought, how could I find a way to help people to get back on that track of getting to do what they want to do versus having to settle for something they don't want to do?
Yeah.
Do you think they were on the track like 5 years ago before they started popcorn, or
you know, it's funny is that I was just at North Texas and I was giving a talk there, and one of the things I like to do is you have a student that's when they say they don't know what they want to do, and I always call BS on that. And so what I had him do is I said to him, I asked him how long he's been in school. He said 6 years, and he still doesn't know what he wants. So I said, okay, put that aside. Just tell me what a really good day sounds like for you. And so, like, where do you live? And he says where he lives. I said, what's the weather like? He says what the weather is like, and you get him into a rhythm. And so, you know, you have a house? Yeah. What does it look like? You have a dog? Yeah, great. And then I said, you play the trumpet? Yeah, I play the trumpet. What does that look like? And he's in the rhythm already, like we talked before about the hop stop.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone doesn't know, we'll do that in a second. And so he's in the rhythm, and he describes to me what he wants to do on the trumpet without even realizing he's just described to me exactly what he wants to do. And so the audience is now laughing because here just a minute ago he said, I have no idea what I want to do for 6 years, and now he just proved that he does know what he wants to do. So that it's not the not knowing what they want to do, it's understanding a game plan that is effective. And so if you read the book, you'll see there's several places that say guesses make messes.
Oh, yes.
And so what I discover is most students, their game plan is so guess-oriented that it's not really a shock that they don't wind up getting where they want to go, because we talked about the GPS thing, right? Mm-hmm. People will use the GPS to go from here to the mall, right? They'll use the GPS to drive from where they live to Disney World, right?
Oh, yeah.
With their phone or their car GPS or some version of that, even drops the volume of the radio down to tell you to turn left, right? I mean, they really depend on the GPS to get from point A to point B. But the crazy part is students, when it comes to getting from point A to point B in their career, they take the GPS and they throw it out the window and they just guess.
Go by feeling.
I mean, they would never even guess about how to drive to the mall, but they're guessing about their career, and it made no sense to me. And so what I realized is that the problem isn't really that it's not aptitude, it's not skill, it's not desire. It's just, for some reason, like when we were kids, everything we do well, someone taught us to do. You know, we didn't teach ourselves to tie our shoes. Someone taught us, how to cook, how to iron, how to clean, how to vacuum. Someone else taught us to do those things, right? Mm-hmm. But then, for some reason, when we turn 16 or 17 or about to go to college, we start thinking that we can do it. We don't need mentors. Our parents are mentors for us. How to spell, how to clean our room. Our parents were our mentor for us to do it. But then, as soon as we get a little older, we got this now. I'm 16. I know how the world works. And it's not surprising to me that, students come out of school after paying all that money and they're not doing what they want to do because they stop using valuable mentors that are really crucial to this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think environment is crucial? Is it important? Like, your parents in your teens when you're growing up, and then you go to school, you're in a certain environment, but you're not progressing, right? Maybe you're getting better, but you're lost at the same time.
Well, I guess, like I said earlier, I'm always been a pretty pragmatic person, and so it makes sense to me to get the best information I can as quickly as I can. And to me, the person that would know that was what was in the book called TPK, people who've proven they know. People that have proven they know. So it's like, if you want to learn how to get a bunch of gold medals, then you go ask Michael Phelps. You don't ask your guy down the street at the local pool. Because there's another,
even though he's talking like he knows what he's doing.
They always talk like they know.
Yeah.
And so that's the crazy part. And so that's how you can figure out who knows and doesn't, who to talk to, who not to talk to, is go straight to TPK. So if you go to TPK, those who have proven they know, and you say, what am I doing wrong? Tell me, I'll go to work. I don't care if I have to do 20 push-ups, a sit-up, and eat raw eggs, because my goal is to go from where I am to where I want to be. Mm-hmm. And if you go to TPK and you have enough TPK people as mentors, you start to see real commonalities in the things that they say and the things that they've had to do. I'll say one last thing is, I tell my students, ask them what you should do, and then you ask them what they did, because it's almost more important what they did than what they tell you to do. So I tell them 2 parts what they did and 1 part what they tell you to do, because what they tell you to do is what they've learned from their mistakes, but some of those mistakes are why they got to the place that they are. So it's kind of important to know what they did as well as what they tell you should do. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, it makes sense.
You use that from the first half of the podcast with practicing near the top classical trumpet player, in school. So I mean, you like, okay, he's definitely proven to know.
Oh, for sure.
So
you hear classical players that are professional players, and sounds just like that.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's not rocket science, It's like, this guy knows what he's doing at TPK,
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the same here. I mean, in the audio world, I got with engineers who were out there doing what I wanted to do at the time, and it was like, what are you guys doing? I hung around those cats. And
it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Because when students, I was at the school, and one student said, "This book would be really good for your career," and I said, not to be funny, I said, but how do you know? You're both 17. I mean, how do you know? You guys have logged exactly 0 hours in the field,
Yeah.
But but guesses make messes. That's in the book.
A few times actually.
It was great because that time.
Running.
Well, it's kind of true though, right? Guesses make messes, and the crazy part is that we do a lot of things that we do well because we had really good mentors, and then we start guessing, and we wonder why things come off the rails, like we were talking about. It's like was it a lack of aptitude? It's not a lack of aptitude. It's not a lack of desire. It's just a lack of the stopping of the guessing. You know what I mean? Get back on the idea that, in life we do better with mentors, and because we also, another thing happens is that you wind up forming relationships. In some cases, very powerful relationships with the very people that help you in the next levels of life. They remember when you first came to them, and 15, 20 years later, you're on a peer group with them. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of
proved it that you're worth something, right?
Right, and it's like the same thing we talked about. It's like students come to me and they say, "Hey, gimme." It's like, I don't know you. It's like I had a student who wanted to work in Chicago, and so I said, "Here's what you're going to do." He had 2 more years left of school. I said, "You're going to call this person." I don't know if I should say his name on the broadcast, but all roads in Chicago for the work he wanted to do led through this person, and luckily I knew that person. I said, "You're going to call this person, and you're going to take lessons from this person, and you're going to be friends with this person. So for the next 2 years, here's what you're going to do. You're going to say, 'Yes, sir,' 'No, sir,' 'Nice shoes, sir,' 'Can I paint your house, sir?' 'Can I mow your lawn, sir?' Because he has the keys to the kingdom, and he does not need to share them with you.
Yep.
He's done what he has to take. He's done what it takes. He's done what he has to do to get to the point where he has those keys, because he didn't have them either. He wasn't born with them. He had to do his version of that to prove to himself that he could be trusted with the keys. So this guy's not going to give you the keys just because you asked for him. Hey, can I drive your? You know what I mean? Just because I'm really cool, just trust me. Can I borrow your car?
Yeah.
And so trust. So after 2 years of taking lessons and practicing what he gave him, the guy moves to Chicago, and I have guys that have been in Chicago for years calling me up saying, "Who is this kid, and why is he playing first trumpet over us?" We spent 2 years forming a great relationship with a very pivotal person, proving that he could be trusted and he would do the work. Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, do the work and be willing to progress and learn.
And that's the thing. I think people think that things are supposed to just happen automatically, but in reality, the very people that want those things don't trust other people. If a kid that wants to work out of school says, someone comes up and says, "Hey, can I stay in your house?" Kid would go, "I don't know you." But they think, because we live in a crazy world, people are like, "Well, what I want is okay, but if you want that, it's not okay." It's like, well, no, it's kind of the same way both ways,
Exactly. You gotta put, I guess there's some creative energy in that as well. Into if you're like, I don't even know where to start. Oh my goodness, you got.
If you're already there, it's not too late, but you're late in the game,
But but forming relationships early and often, and realizing what the TPK, those who have proven to know, having that in your life.
Well, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the people, they know what they want to do, but they don't want to say what it is?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they kind of play at it a little bit, like, they don't want to say what it is. It's like they haven't been told it's okay for them to want it, or they've been told that maybe they don't want to hear that maybe they don't have an aptitude for it. Because if you don't have a fundamental aptitude for things, it's going to be really hard to be really successful at it. You have to have a fundamental aptitude, but there's still a lot to learn even from basic aptitude. But but even if they have that, they're just kind of, and so they go years just kind of playing around versus just being okay with wanting to. I want to have my own landscaping business. I want to have 55 trucks all over the city, and I want to own this town for this business. So when they think of landscaping, they think of me. And so, but it's okay to say that. And if someone says, "Well, but everyone thinks I should be a politician," it's like, well, who cares? What do you want? Because why don't you just do what you want? Because you'll be a miserable politician and maybe not a good one. So just be a landscaping dude. Maybe after that you decide to do something else, but at least you understand the formula. So then you find out, okay, who's like the main landscaping person in this town already? Or at least in a neighboring town. Because the head landscaping guy in your town is probably not afraid of you as a 12-year-old.
Exactly.
So if you go to him at 12 and you say, "Hey, I kind of want to be the head landscaping guy of like the town over from this one that you don't exist in." How do I do that? They'll probably give the keys of the kingdom a bit away to a 12-year-old.
Exactly.
Or you get hired, work for him.
For
2 months.
See, exactly. Exactly.
And learn the business.
Yeah, get the blueprint over the years from him.
But just being honest with yourself about what you want is so huge. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Don't worry about trying to impress your friends or whatever. Just just be honest with yourself and what really makes you resonate. What sounds like you'd want to do, or what do people ask you to do when they're picking sides for something? What do they call you first for? For chess, for advice, for hey, how do I paint my house? Whatever they call it. That's it's a pretty good chance you have a good aptitude at that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. This is all the stuff of.
All right, I have another one. So we're talking about education, right? I mean, you've learned a lot. You figure out the way how to learn and how to play the instrument, right? You've toured the world. So do you think for the student that you sent to Chicago, right? Do you think was it important for him to go to school to get an education and then go to Chicago, or can you learn the craft yourself and then go through the same phase and get hired?
Yeah, that's a popular question. I actually I'm a big fan of college. I know sometimes people say college is important. I think at least some time in the university system is important if you can. If you can't, then you can't. You do things as you can do them. But college is great because you can make sometimes key blunders that don't stay with you forever. Because once you're out of school and you're meeting influential people and they kind of expect you to have a certain amount of aptitude and amount of knowledge, key blunders are, you can be late for a gig, really late for a gig in college, and they'll forgive you. But, if I'm late for Letterman, that's not good. And so like little things, you can make little mistakes in college and learn from those mistakes and then not have to have them follow you your whole life in the same way. So to me, in that way, college is very good. But sometimes, like we say, in college, the person teaching you may not be TPK for what you want, but they're your teacher. And so the question is, how do you deal with that? And the reality is we have to be responsible for a bit of our own education. Sometimes we have to say to our school, hey, we want this person to come into our school and work with us. Because schools they look after each other, and it makes sense. This teacher looks after that teacher over there, and this professor looks after that professor. And I get it. And I know that sometimes they don't want outside influence coming in for whatever reasons. But because that does exist, sometimes students have to take it upon themselves and say, hey, look, I paid a lot of money to be here. And these are the things that I realize I need to have while I'm here to do well when I get out of here. So I need this added to our system. A lot of times they have systems. They have lecture series or things like that, or guests. But they'll bring in certain people they've kind of already planned to. So students have to step up and say, no, we want this person, or we want this thing. And because otherwise the university will just do what they've always been doing. But they also need students to step up and say, I want this, because how do they know? They can't read your mind if you're a student. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to speak your mind up.
Yeah. And really knowing what you want, writing it down. I like, we kind of went over that before. Yeah. What does the perfect life looks like for you? Yeah. What car, what house, where, what does it feel like? What is it? You need to know.
Should feel good, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, okay, yeah.
I'll take that. We've been on TV and then traveling all over the world on our time off. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. But just really taking a look of what is the dream? What is that? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's different for every person. That's for sure.
Yeah. And how are you going to get there? And this book definitely gets you there.
Prepares you for real life opportunity. Yeah, because if you're late for Letterman, you're fired.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Just not good.
And I think the school, if you go to school, they don't really teach you and prepare you for real life situation. And when you get into that, you're lost a little bit. Even though you got all that 6 or 10 years of education, all of a sudden you're in the band and you're like, oh man.
Well, it's
learn all over.
School. It's almost like school gives you like the tennis court, right, and a ball, but they don't give you the racket.
Yeah.
And so you gotta figure out how to get your own racket, and that's why TPK mentors are so important. I mean, the school gives you a place to play, so it's like if you have a racket, well then you have a court and a limited number of balls, then you're cool. But without a racket, you're just standing on a court, and that's kind of what it's like for a lot of students. And then after a few years of standing on the court, then they see people play around them. They don't get to play really, and they wonder why when they get out of school they're not really prepared. Well, school is, you're supposed to push off school, and school pushes back. I always say it's like if a person stands between two buildings, they can't climb it very well. But if they can have another person standing back to back and they push off each other, they can climb straight to the top of that building. School is like that. It's like you have to do your part and then they do their part and you can get there. But many people go to school and they go, okay, I'm here. Make me great.
Make me great. Yeah.
It's like, that's not how that works. It's never been how that works,
Oh, yeah. This
slipping through the...
You know what I mean? It's like, here I am,
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. This is...
And you think it makes sense because you paid all that money to be there. It's like, okay, man, I just paid a bunch of money. Give me something.
So you're supposed to do something. Yeah. Like,
but we talked about this. They need your help. It's like people say, when I talk to them, what do you want to do? And they say, I want to play. It's like telling somebody that is about as specific as going to a restaurant and the waiter says, "What would you like?" And you say, "I like the food, please." It's like, what is the waiter supposed to do with that? It's like, how much? Well, now you're making me work hard. Okay, what do you want to play? The trumpet. Oh goodness. Okay. Do you want to play jazz? Sure. Okay. Does that mean yes or I want to play. I want to play class. I want to play everything. It's like, okay, name me 3 people that are playing everything. Crickets. Right, because they can't find them. Right? So it's like, if you can't find 3 people that are kind of already doing it, chances are it may not really be doable that way. You know what I mean? You should be able to at least find 3. You know what I mean? Like, you want tell me you want to move to New York and play on trumpet on Broadway? Well, there are 20 guys doing that, or maybe 20 people, not all men, but 20 people doing that. So finding 3 is no problem. Yeah. Now, how to get into that 20? That's also in the book. But at least there's a chance. But I want to be an underwater basket weaver on the moon. I think that's great. I mean, first of all, good luck finding someone that wants to buy that. But find me 3 that aren't dead.
Exactly. And it's beautiful the way that you put the book together. I've gotten it on Kindle and the hard copy as well.
I love you. Everyone do what Fela did.
Yeah, exactly. You need 50 people and your friends to do that. Hashtag TPK. It's a very easy read. Let's get into the format and why that, like, just one page, like, per point, kind of. And
I did that because, sometimes when you're looking at a book and you're trying to learn new stuff, it's like, was that on this page? And you dogger it. Was that on this page or was that on that page? And you have to go back. I figured if everything's just right in front of you and you turn the page, the next page is just right in front of you. You're reading the book kind of like you'd read Kindle, right? Mm-hmm. There's no left side of the page. It's just right in front of you all the time. I want to just make it so that, plus each idea, for the most part, is on one page. Mm-hmm. So you can, because let's get into this thing we talked about. There's this thing called, let's see, make sure I get this right. It's called chunking and locking, right? We want to chunk and lock, right? You take a little information, your chunk of information, and you lock it into place. And we're talking about how if you say, what's 5 plus 5, people say 10. Because we learned it like this: 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, 4, 5 plus 5. And so we chunked it that way, so it made it very easy to lock it into our brains. But, like, for instance, but we can learn something like how to drive a stick shift car or how to ride a bicycle. Now, we know how to ride it. We just learned today. But you're not going to go get in traffic and drive through a city on a bike you just learned to ride today, right? No. Because it's not locked in yet. It's not part of your autopilot. And typically, as humans, to quote Mel Robbins, she talks about autopilot and brake. It's like most of us like to work on autopilot. And if anything comes along that's not part of our autopilot, we kind of freak out a little bit. I think it's part of the human experience. And so
it's very true.
The reason I wrote this like this is so, like, a new idea like guesses make messes. Mm-hmm. I want that to be automatic in someone's mind so that when they're about to make an assumption about something, they can stop and go, is this TPK information or is this me guessing this? Because if this is me guessing this, I need to stop and go get some TPK information. Because I remember what he said in my clinic about taking the GPS and throwing it and guessing, and I know my friends did just that. The ones that are working at Taco Bell, nothing against Taco Bell, but they don't want to work at Taco Bell. The ones that are
not doing what they want to do.
The ones that, their game plan was full of guessing. So once they hear guesses make messes in their mind and it's locked in, it's chunked in, guesses make messes, now it's locked in, they can start to, like, undo the problems that causes so many problems. And so all of a sudden they find themselves in a completely different route just because they stopped guessing. Just something as simple as that.
Yeah. Awareness.
Awareness.
Getting awareness from TPK, though, from those who are proving the knowledge of what we want to get into. So,
and it's crazy because the awareness is almost a complete unawareness. Like, you're not aware that you know 5 plus 5, do you? Are you? Yeah. You just do.
You just do.
But there was a time when you didn't know it, and that process of learning it was, you were completely aware of learning it. But once it was locked, it goes in your back of your mind, and it's autopilot now.
Yeah, it became simple, right? All of a sudden.
And that's why I did this book like this. So what people are doing is they're taking a page or two, and they're putting a paperclip on, and they're just repeating it to themselves over and over to chunk it. They take that chunk of information from the page, and they're locking it in.
Yeah.
And so that, it's little things, that are like that. Guesses make messes, or make sure is this TPK knowledge, just stuff like that. It gets locked in so that they never have to learn it again, because it just becomes part of their natural inclination is to, hey, I want to learn how to bowl. And they find someone who's a great bowler, and they told that we don't have to go through all the rigmarole and headaches of having to get everything wrong and learn all that wrong stuff and then relearn the right stuff. It's like, who has enough time in life to do all that? All that unlearning, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Bad habits you formed with it. Yeah.
It takes enough time sometimes just to go through the process.
Right.
Then to go 1 mile the wrong way, 1 mile back the right way, and then 1 mile the right. So for every 1 mile you have to go 3 miles, and you wonder why your friends that are doing it the right way are ditching you.
Oh yeah.
And they're successful, and years later you're figuring out why are they doing this, and I'm sweeping the floor in the movie theater. It's because they didn't have to unlearn and then relearn it the right way. They just learned it the right way the first time by chunking and locking.
Man.
Decisions, life decisions.
Yeah. Again, you could take it to anything, to business, to just all facets
Playing
of life.
instruments.
So this book just covers it. Really?
I'll tell you, I told you I just had one of my younger students. She calls it her ninja success training.
Exactly. I love that.
Ninja
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's such an easy read. We got to get this on audiobook. That's our next. That's the next move we got to do. Because it's so quick and easy, and you're practical. That's why I love talking to Frank, because he's insane. Just when you're practical, I'm all about it. But when you're just like, you gotta go,
sounds like a bunch of excuses.
It's just not that hard. People make it so hard. It's not really that hard. If it was hard, I'm a kid from San Jose. I wouldn't be doing it. You kidding me?
Yeah. You just give all the good stuff. Anything else you wanted to cover?
I think that was pretty much it. We were kind of talking about, what you and I talked about, just like the idea of tamping it up. How sometimes there are people out there that even if they see you're on this path, sometimes they don't, especially when you start doing this path. I've had a few students that have had that. Once they kind of started working with me and they went back to school, their friends could see how it's like when a sports car starts passing a regular car, and it's like 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. And they start to see their friends now are like leaving because they're getting more and more opportunities, and their friends are getting less opportunity. When they start feeling that, they try to do things to maybe sabotage you. Sometimes frenemies are real. People that they like you, but they don't really want you to be more successful than they are. They kind of want you to take them along for the ride, and if you can't, they might try to hurt. So sometimes people will tell you, we joke about tamp it down. Hey, tamp it down.
Tamp it down.
Don't be so successful. Tamp it down. So you and I started saying on this last tour.
Oh yes,
tamp it up. Yeah.
Tamp it up. We're looking to make that a series ourselves. Tamp it up, man. You can't take your foot off the gas pedal with learning and doing and getting stuff done. There's always stuff to do.
Yeah, if you're on your way from New York to Disney World, you just want to be there and ride some rides. So if you're driving, you're not going to take your foot off the gas. You want to get there sooner. Hello.
Exactly. So tamping it up. Me and Frank, we're taking this to some colleges near you, and I'm so excited because the tips that he's put into this book is just. Man, I wish I would have had this when I was younger as well.
Yeah,
like we
that.
all say that.
Well, based on the life experience too.
At 18 and not really, I knew I wanted to do it, audio, but I didn't really know how and how do you talk to a mentor? What do they want? I had no idea, and it took me years to figure that out. And this book just laid it down. It's like, oh, okay,
that was the hope. So I hope people read it and get that.
This makes sense. This is why I never heard anything back those first couple of years. I had to do stuff first. And exactly. Yeah. So, wow. Thank you so much, Frank, for being on the show. Please get this book. You want to be successful in anything. Audio, musician, politician. Well, we'll see.
We'll see about that. Yeah.
Find a TPK in that movement. Mm-hmm. But wow, thank you so much, Frank. You just laid a whole gold rush of knowledge here, and please get the book to follow up on this knowledge. Again,
my wife would thank you.
The name of this book is, I knew that, 116 Thoughts That You Already Know That Will Change Your Life. It's available on Amazon, Kindle. I have it on both. Get it on both. And we're going to come out with the audio book soon through 23DV. So We it's all in house, baby. Let's go. We're tamping it up and we're going.
All the way up.
Thank you again for listening to the Art of Music Tech. Listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, 23dbproductions.com. Frank, what's your social? Anybody wants to get in touch with you or find out more about you? Or
I have a coaching page on Facebook. People can message me there. They can message me at Frank David Greene on Facebook. Most people reach out to me on Facebook at first.
All right. Yeah. Fantastic. Facebook is the way to get in touch with Frank and his valuable knowledge. But first, start off with that book.
Really like that.
Yes.
So thanks again. I'm Fela, and over there is Dennis.
Hey, guys.
And Frank.
Hey.
All right. Thanks again for listening. And let's go and tamp it up.
Tamp it up.
Let's go.
For more information of booking 23db Productions, visit their website at 23dbproductions.com. Like and follow 23db Productions at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for the latest work.